Hey folks, it's Brian. After my game last weekend, I've been thinking a lot about combat and the combat matrix in RQG, and some of my experiences with Runequest 2 and 3, and I've been trying not to make house rules for my current game, but there are certain things that have come out of me to make minor adjustments and changes as we've been playing, in between sessions generally. But in reference to the Matrix, the combat we had last weekend with shields and swords getting chewed up left and right got me thinking really hard about this Matrix and what they've got written down here. And as I review it, most of it, does make sense to me. A couple of things. Critical hits doing max special damage. I don't know. Now the book says max special weapon damage, but you still roll for the damage bonus. So there's some variability there. And if you're fighting a guy who's not wearing any armor versus a guy who's wearing armor and you get a critical hit, the guy wearing armor doesn't get that armor advantage, but the guy who's not wearing armor, there's no advantage there. So it does make some kind of sense to me that there needs to be something different about a critical hit besides just bypassing armor. So my gut feelings kind of thing is to do special weapon damage, but to have one set of dice maxed, if that makes any sense. So instead of rolling for a broadsword 2d8 or d8 plus 1, right? Special damage is 2d8 plus 2 plus the damage bonus. So instead of doing 18 points of damage, it would do 9 plus a d8 plus 1, so d8 plus 10, which gives you an advantage, gives an effect beyond just special damage bypassing armor. It does give something significant on top of that. So now I certainly won't engage that during my current campaign, but when we start campaign 2, assuming we do, that's one thing I'm going to talk with the players about. Okay, this is what I'm thinking about changing, that kind of thing. Another one I'm going to add in is the missile thrust hit location chart. Just because it needs to be there. What else? There was something else I'm going to talk about. I did notice that, as you compare, for example, if you've got a critical success on your attack and a critical success on your parry, is treated as a normal attack and a normal parry. Special attack, special parry, same thing. Normal attack, normal parry, same thing. So there's just progression that is equivalent. And I did notice that, for example, if you did a critical parry against a special attack, it's the same as a special parry against a normal attack, a normal success on attack. So that progression does make some sense. And I was looking for that, but I wasn't seeing it earlier. And that has to do with when your parry success level is higher than the attack success level, there are different effects. For example, if you do a special parry against a normal attack, all the damage over your shield goes into the shield to bring its hit points down. But then if you do a critical on a normal, all the damage goes right to the shield. I kind of understand what they're going for there, because that was kind of discussed early on with the quick start rules and stuff about how they wanted this, dramatic kind of thing. But I've got to ask the question, how many folks get involved with a fight with more than one shield? I mean, have a backup shield. Now, if you're doing some kind of, lost speaker kind of thing, the Viking thing, right? Where you've got two guys doing essentially a duel. You're going to have standby shields and stuff, yeah. But if you've got cattle raiders coming, you grab your spear and your shield and you run out there, well, your sword, and you run out there and you get your shield hacked, boom, in 2 hits. Well, that is, admittedly, that's 2 critical successes against a normal parry or maybe a failed parry. I don't remember now. But still, holy cow, chewing shields up left and right. Whereas before, it was always, as you go over, it's taking stuff down. Whether it's 1 point for normal or special damage that goes over, gives you a lot more damage, so more is going to go through. I don't know. Just some things to think about and some things I want to make some quick comments on. Having reviewed the chart a couple times this week, I feel like I've got a better feel for what's going on. Whereas during the game, I was reading through stuff and something just was not matching up. And in my comments from that video, you notice that I comment, it must have been my dry eyes and flipping back and forth between my NPC sheets and the chart and just trying to think it through my head. Why is this happening this way? Of getting confused on what was going on. All my fault. But I just thought I'd throw this out here to anybody else run into this kind of situation where they're not quite sure about this matrix or some of the effects therefrom. I still think if you get an amputation, you should be bleeding out around it. It's not written down anywhere. Happy gaming.